All right, first jail experience as an adult. Let's get it. So, hop right into it. I was 22 years old at the time. I It happened on a regular day. I was with my homie Jordan. We were really good friends. Still, I talk here and there, but back then we were very, very close. And he wanted to get a NOS tank. We had a mutual friend who was selling a NOS tank. The day came about where he asked me if I wanted to back him up, aka go with him to go get it. I was like, yeah, sure, let's go. So we go. It takes us a while because I'm not good with directions and stuff. So I know I messed up at least one time in the directions, but we get it. We end up coming back to the area. Now, this is where I learned you don't have to get as much stuff done in one run as you possibly can, like sometimes it's good to take your time and whatever. So like there definitely are learning like blots like here and there. So we come back to the area, and of course, what do you think? We just got a brand new NOS tank. What are you gonna get after you get that? Balloons. So we go to a Smart and Final or something. It's not there anymore, and we're on our way there. And there's this guy, and he's really buff, and he's going down like he's just like in the middle of the street, kind of like going like that. And then my homie yells at him and is like, "Get the fuck out of the street!" And not a great thing to like say to somebody that like he literally watched us like go around the corner, and then just like the place where we were going was like it was like right there. So we like aggressively drove past him and pulled into the parking lot, and he followed us in there, and he like would like kind of made a little scene and was like, what'd you say, what, like, and like honestly that guy was big. He would have fucked me up. Can't say the same about my friend. He has like a longer reach and all that, but like that dude was pretty big, and like he definitely would have fucked me up. Probably would have fucked both of us up at the same time. So that happens. We go inside the store. We come out of the store. That guy's gone. So it's just kind of like whatever. So we get in the car. We pull out. We're driving, and we're going. And like we get probably halfway there. We just have to take this one street, PCH. It's a notorious SoCal street that goes forever. Like we just had to take that like for maybe like a mile. We got like half of the way there, and like all of a sudden, like either my friend says to me, or I ask like what's going on, or Jordan says like yo, we're getting pulled over. And I thought he was joking because I didn't hear a siren or anything. I didn't like, but sure enough, when I turned around, there was like 5 cop cars behind us. And like while I turned around, he had turned onto this street called Carnelian, and he pulled over like immediately. So like I was like looking back, and I just like I couldn't believe like how many like there was literally like 5 or 6 cop cars with like 2 people in each car, and they were all like they got out of their cars really quick. And like I remember because when I was turning my head, there was already some like when I was turning my head, they were already opening the door to like take us out. And like just before that happened, a cop had came up on the other side, and he's like yelling at us like, you guys are driving around like a bunch of assholes. And we're just like, I'm sitting there like, I don't have any control of the car, and we were driving pretty crazy, I'm not gonna lie, from what I can remember. And it worked out against us for sure that my friend, when we were getting searched and like everything, and he was getting his information, I think within like that month, or maybe like a week or 2 or 3 previous, he had gotten a ticket for reckless driving. So for them to see, like, I think that was something that they like pulled us over. I think that was a charge or something that happened, that maybe that's how we caught their attention, whatever. But it didn't help the situation at all. They're just extra mad. So we're pulled over, and we like get searched and whatever, and I get searched, and I in my possession I had one Xanax bar that was in a little like wax container that's like the little plastic puck containers. And it was like, people always say, oh, why didn't you take it, why didn't you just take it? And it just wasn't that simple. Like at the time, like those containers can be a real bitch to open, and I had it in my jeans, like in like the mini pocket in the front, and it's like only like that big, so it was kind of stuck in there. And, like with that many cops around you and like trying to make movements and all that, like it wasn't gonna happen. So I'm pulled out of the car, they find that, and I get handcuffed, sitting on the curb. My friend is handcuffed. They start asking questions about the NOS tank. They see the balloons. It's all right there. It's very blatantly obvious. So first, my homie Jordan's like, "Oh yeah, that's for a birthday party." And they're like, "Whose party?" And they're like, our friend Kevin." And they're like, "When's his birthday?" And like it was all real information, I could tell. Like, but like, the cop was just drilling until it kind of like, I can't remember what got asked, but it was just something that he was just firing back on questions. Then the next thing, he tries to say, "Oh yeah, that's my friend's. It's for his car." And then the cop's like, "Oh, okay, well, is that person going to be willing to come to your court date and to like say that that's theirs, like take responsibility for it?" And then that shut that down. So finally, eventually, we're sitting there, and they already knew what was up, so he just told them what was up. And not too hard, I didn't name any names or anything, but just told them what they already knew. So we're sitting there, and they take him up, and they start putting him in the car, and then I'm like, "Am I going too?" And then the cop asked the other person, like, "Hey, is he going?" And then the other person's like, and they're like, "Yeah, he's going." And I was like, "Ah, damn." But it was what it was. So I get in the car in the back. We're both in the same cop car, and we're only like literally like 2 blocks away from the station. In that time, my friend managed to say something about not getting read our Miranda rights, and I can remember like the cops, like you know how it is when you hear a cop car and the way their engines are different, even the bikes, like when they like speed up and whatever. So like being inside of the car when it does that is definitely a trip too. And they said something like, "Oh, we got ourselves a lawyer here." And like he goes and drives really fast and then hits the brakes, and we both just like like hit our heads on the glass or on the back seat, whatever it was. And we did not have, like, thank God we didn't have a long way to go, because like that all took place within, we're literally like, I could have probably thrown like a baseball at like where the jail was. So they take us to the jail, and where they take our phones and everything, take all of our stuff, give us like the blankets that are like too short and like very thin, and it's cold up in there. And they put us in this. I remember I wanted my phone to be off, and they said like, "Oh, you don't want any numbers?" I was like, "No, I'm good," because I just didn't trust once my phone is on, whatever. Like I just didn't want my phone to be turned on. I had way too much stuff going on at the time. So, oh, and also this took place on the weekend of Martin Luther King Jr. weekend. That'll come into play later. So we're at the station, and they gave us like the pillows, or like not a pillow, but they give us like the shitty blankets, whatever. They put us in like a 6-man cell or something. Like it was just me and my homie Jordan, but like I think both of us said something about like not liking like tight spaces or whatever it was. They put us in like a tank basically, but just us. So we just like, the time kept going and going and going, and I was trying to keep the mood light, because I knew at the end of the day I was getting like possession without prescription, or it was like a misdemeanor, so I knew it wasn't like that crazy of anything, like I wasn't really tripping too hard on it. And I didn't want my friend to like beat himself up over that or whatever. His charge was definitely a little more concerning, but I just, he was at one point I think trying to like blame himself for me, and I was there. Like I wasn't trying to like shift the accountability or anything like that. So I was just making sure that he wasn't like being too hard on himself. So we're there, and you know we're there long enough that like they serve us food, and they give us food. And for me, they would call me into the investigations room, and for me they kept asking me where I got my pill from. They really were like bent on, like they really wanted to know where I got it from. And I wasn't, I'm not about to say nothing. So they kept asking me, and I kept telling them no. And then finally, like their final attempt at it was, all right, we're gonna name off 3 or 4 intersections, and we just want you to say yes if that's the intersection where you got yours from. I was like, okay. And I couldn't tell you what intersections they named, but I wasn't planning. They could have said all ones that were relevant to me, and I wasn't planning on saying yes. So eventually they kept calling me in and then calling me back, asked me if I wanted a phone call. I had to sign something saying I refused my phone call because I knew I wasn't going to be there for that long. I regret giving it away because I wish I had called someone and just been like, I mean, would have been expensive, or not expensive, but for them to pick up. And I just thought it'd be funny to call and be like, yeah, what's good? Like, and just ask like a normal question, like, what's up with the Dodger game? Like something like that. Because you can just hear everything that's going on. So, speaking of that, the whole time we're there, we're talking, whatever, just trying to make jokes. And we can hear like, there's like some like skirmish going on like at a different part of the jail because there's no like bottoms to the doors, so you can just kind of like hear a lot of different stuff. So we can hear that like there's like someone who has a really nasty infection or something on their leg that they keep saying, oh my god, like it just sounds disgusting. And then there's someone in the cell next to them that's just giving them a really really hard time, just every single thing they ask, like just giving them a really really hard time, like make me. And like you can just tell they're like, it doesn't have to be like this and all this stuff. So that's happening, and that's kind of entertaining enough, but it's just times going by, times we got arrested probably like 11 in the morning, 11 or like 12 in the morning. Okay, so the whole day is going by, and this was on a Friday. And this one cop, he kept saying, yeah, if you guys if they don't do anything with you guys tonight, then you guys are going to be here till Tuesday because it's the holiday this weekend. So we're just like, ah, shit. And like we actually had a conversation about me getting out and him not, because his charges were a little more aggressive, and he had the other thing in his wallet because I don't know how to drive stick, and his car was a stick shift. So we like had that conversation. But basically, like, they had kind of tried to get as much information as they could. They knew they weren't going to get a lot, and they probably figured they got what they got. We were in the cell for like all day, and then at one point they're like, "All right, we're moving, inmate moving or whatever, some shit." They announce that like they're moving somebody, and he comes right by like where me and Jordan were. There's a big window, huge window, huge window. So as they're walking by with the person, it's somebody that me and Jordan went to high school with. That like he's like in our we're the same age, like he's literally like a homie. So we're like, yo, Walter, what's good? And like he sees us, we make eye contact and like everything, and like I know that it made the cops mad because they were like, what do you think this is, a high school reunion? Like they like really were like pissed about that, and I had already been asking them like, let me get a deck of playing cards, I was like reading off this thing on the wall saying all the things we were allowed. At one point, like I was trying to like make like a escape on my Apple, like trying to like like come up with some like drawing out a football play, whatever, just as like jokes, just like letting the time go by. So that happened. Saw the homie. Then eventually it's getting later, and then all of a sudden, I shit you not, I remember like laying there on the bunk, and then all of a sudden the lights just turn off, and like the lights turn off, and I just kept thinking like, oh shit, man, we're gonna be here all weekend. Like I'm just not trying to have that, like, So almost immediately as the lights turn off, I'm like banging on the window, like I'm banging on the door. I'm trying to get somebody's attention, and then finally someone comes, and I say like, yo, like like nobody said anything to us for like a really long time. Like like I know what I did is a misdemeanor. Like I'm not some law guy, but like I knew what I did wasn't that bad. So I was like, I know what I did is a misdemeanor. So like I'm curious, like what am I still doing here? I'm not trying to get stuck here over the weekend. And the guy's like, all right, let me see your bracelet. The bracelet they give you. So I put my bracelet up and he scans it, and then he looks at it and he goes, "Oh, you guys were supposed to get released hours ago." And I was sitting there like, man, like, and literally within like 10 minutes of that, like they went, I remember it was called a ROR. It was like uh, something on your own return on recognizance. So just saying like, hey, this is your court date. You're gonna come to your court date. So like they released me, and then they released my friend. And I remember like getting my stuff and changing my clothes and everything, getting my stuff back. And the only thing they didn't take from me was or they didn't give me back my lighter. And I remember like saying something about it, and I was like, yo, can I get my lighter back? I'm literally asking the person behind the glass, like afterwards, like, yeah, you guys didn't give me my lighter. They were like, we don't give lighters back. So, it was I wasn't trying to get hung up on that. And I swear we ran, like we were like running and jumping. It was like 11 o'clock at night or something. And our car was right across the street. So it was literally like a very short run, and we just ran and kind of skipped around and ran and stuff, and we get to the car, and the car was trashed, and there was little blue gloves rolled up everywhere. And the crazy thing is I don't know how they missed it in the chaos, but like it was actually out, like when because they're going underneath the seats and all this stuff. And I just remember my friend having a little bottle of something that you would think that they would have been like concerned about that, because I remember him like, enjoying it like right when we got out of jail. And like you know I would go on to come to court, and I would get community service, and I would get um, a certain amount of classes, like meetings. I had to do AA meetings and all this stuff that I had to get recorded, and I had to do it by the time that I returned. Fortunately, I did my community service at a place like it was like designated for me to do my community service at a place that is an Alcoholics Anonymous place in Hermosa Beach. So I could easily do some hours, get like a meeting done, do some more hours, get another meeting done. And still, I did that, and I did a lot of stuff, but I still ended up coming up short at the end. And I can remember like the last meeting that I went to, I was able to get the community service done. I was able to get that like squared away. There were so many pages of people who'd never showed up that I get it. If you can pay it, cool. But I just remember always having to search through the pages to find mine. And there was just like so many pages of people that just never even did any. And I had to do quite a bit. I think I had to do like 80 hours or something. So got that squared away. But then my meetings, I was I was missing like literally the day before I had to go back to court. I was missing probably a good like 10 meetings on the list. And I swear on my life, man, I go to a meeting that like I had to look it up in my phone because of the day and time, and I was just trying to get as many in as possible that I could get in, and I was like ready to go back to court the following day with not a full list. Like I did not have it figured out at all. So I go to this meeting, okay, and when I get there, I see that the person who's running the meeting is my friend Kevin's dad. That like it was the perfect person. Like he's literally, he would always, like Kevin, he was someone who, like, he was out of high school when, like, maybe he was a senior when I was a freshman, or maybe he was like a year older. He's like connected with like Joyce Manor, and like there's a lot of ways it can go, but like he's a good friend of mine. And he lived very close to like west, to the times where we would leave. I was constantly leaving with people, and like he had this cool little pad right next to the school, and he had a garage, and we would just chill in there, and like it was all like there would be like trippy art, and like, you know, like Bruce Lee, but it's all like neon colors and stuff like that. I got plenty of stories from that place too. But his dad is the one running the meeting, and I kind of like, he was the kind of dad that like I would be there, and you know, I'm a freshman in high school, and I'm like chain smoking cigarettes or something, or like I'm asking for this or that, and his dad would just have that mentality of like, hey, he's not my kid, like, so he just had that. His dad is super cool, super cool, super cool. Him and his son both like really cool guys. But he takes my paper, and I'll never forget this, and shout out to him still, but I explain to him what's going on, and he takes my list, and he has like, he has a pen, and then he grabs like two more other pens, and then he goes down the list of like the other like 9 meetings that I needed, and he just writes like H, A, and then different pen, B, like just initials, just random initials in different colors of stuff. And like that, you know, it could have went whatever way, but like him doing that for me was like really cool on my part. And you know, I'm just like the king of procrastinating, there's no other way to put it. So he did that for me, and I was super stoked. Went back to court the next day, and they had asked about like my stuff, and I explained how I did everything, and then they just said that it would get expunged off of my record, you know. And my other friend, you know, I remember they did call his name in the courtroom and everything, and he just went about it a different way, with like through the court system with like a lawyer and all that stuff. He never even had to show up to court. Um, but yeah, so that was the first time getting arrested, and unfortunately it's not the last, but I don't have a lot of stories like that. So more times than not I got away with it, but not every time. So hopefully you enjoyed the story, and yeah, I'll be here. Today's one of those days that the videos are going to take forever, so I'm just trying to drop some videos so they like upload when they do. So hopefully this is one that you guys like. I never said that I'm the toughest dude who did the longest stint in prison or something, you know. This is just an experience I had with the jail system in Redondo Beach. I was technically, you know, I wasn't free. I know that, you know, it wasn't the worst. It really wasn't. I know it could have been worse, but you know, it happened. So this is the way it happened, you know. Hopefully you enjoyed the story, and you know, comment below if you got questions, comments, concerns. You need me to clarify anything, you know, like I really am not tripping at all. So I got nothing to hide. I'm just here for the entertainment. We used to do stunts for Ryan Dunn, like with no camera, nothing at all. So, you know, I like to entertain. Just been doing this. So hopefully you guys are having a nice weekend. Enjoyed the Olympics, all that good shit, and we'll keep it pushing. All right, peace out.